Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. Today we are taking a look at whether or not the Super Bowl was rigged and professional sports in general, are rigged. Fixed, if you will. How many anomalies, oddities, and coincidences are there in the realm of professional sports, particularly in the big leagues? So we will be taking a look at this and more in typical MINDSHOCK fashion with logic and reason at the forefront. As always, if you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications if they're not coming through. Just like and comment on more videos. Or you could just go to youtube.com/MINDSHOCK. You could also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case, topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. You could also be a guest on the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind. Leave them in the comment section. So, quite a few astute MINDSHOCK listeners have been asking me to cover this topic of fixed, rigged sports, magnetic balls, or refs fixing outcomes, etc. Now, most probably don't think that players are in on it. But I don't know, maybe some people do believe that there are certain select players that are involved in some kind of rigging or fixing. Now, before we go into dissecting this particular footage from the Super Bowl, which was actually brought to light, to me anyway, by MathTHFCX on Twitter. And Matthew had some thoughts about this particular play, and it brought out some interesting numbers from other commentators as well. But before we get to all that, I just want to go over an article real quick. CLE Sports Talk, ClevelandSportsTalk.com, rigged NFL. Stop buying into, emotionally and financially, the TV-style drama of the National Fixed League. This is an article by MM. Sportsbooks are not charities. They are businesses. If you think sportsbooks would leave a billion-dollar industry up to chance, you don't know business, period. Now, see, I'm not sure about that because, again, sports books or bookies, normally, depending on the lines, they're going to make money either way. So I don't know if we're going to jump into that false dichotomy logical fallacy or appeal to extremes logical fallacy that it has to be fixed just based on sports books alone. Not sure about that. Now, individual corrupt billionaires, that's a different story. Individual corrupt institutions, that's a different story. If it's all rigged, I don't think it's because of the bookies. In fact, it could be completely rigged and the bookies might not even know about it. They might not even know about it. So I don't agree there, but let's continue here. Former Super Bowl winning QB says the Super Bowl is rigged. What does this say? Okay, so Sportico recently crunched the numbers on the top 100 most watched television broadcasts in the U.S. during 2022. 82 of them were NFL games. Of the top 33 broadcasts, only 2 were not NFL games. What does this say beyond the fact that we love watching the spectacle of violence, as former linebacker Chris Borland put it? What does this say about the business of football? The advent of legal sports gambling has magnified the manipulations of these supposedly honest competitions, on top of creating a whole demographic of wheelers and dealers who imagine themselves chomping cigars in a dimly lit back room, shuffling money around. Although rumors of NFL games being rigged have recently been picked up in the mainstream, those of us who understand history and how business works have suspected this for years. Years before their own money was at stake through platforms like FanDuel, DraftKings, and BetMGM. In fact, it was proven in federal court of law that the NFL has no obligation to prevent cheating or rigging of its contests. In 2010, a disgruntled New York Jets fan, Carl Mayer, brought individual and class claims on behalf of season ticket holders against the NFL following the Spygate scandal. Spygate involved a New England Patriots employee caught videotaping signals given by the Jets coaches on the sidelines during a September 2007 game at Giant Stadium, a clear violation of NFL conduct. Mayer alleged that Belichick had used this scheme since he became the Patriots head coach in 2000 and brought charges under federal racketeering laws, state laws on deceptive business practices, and consumer protection laws. If nothing else, this should all be covered under fraud, because if they were presenting it as only sports entertainment like the WWE, then it wouldn't matter. But they're presenting it as legitimate official sporting contests. So, this would all be covered under fraud if nothing else. But continuing the article here, he also alleged that the NFL's destruction of the videotapes constituted a breach of contract. The Third Circuit Court of Appeals response: the NFL, as a singular entertainment enterprise, has a legal right to fix the outcome of any of its games, including the Super Bowl, because Mayer's ticket only guarantees a seat at a stadium to watch an NFL game. That's kind of weird, though, because isn't the advertising here? And for those that don't believe this, this is civil action number 07-4671 GEB, March 23rd, 2009. Straight from District Judge Garrett Brown Jr. So, wow. And you can find the whole text here on casetext.com. This is pretty weird. This is kind of weird because it's being presented as a legitimate contest. I don't know. This would be fraud and false advertising, if anything else. But, unless it's all in the fine print. Is it all in the fine print of everything that the NFL is entertainment? Because even if it is in the fine print, the presentation, the advertising, the context is that it's all legitimate sport. As long as it is satisfied, the NFL saddles no further obligation to ticket holders and has every legal right to fix games for entertainment purposes. This is weird. This is straight from a judge. This is straight from a judge. Like, what? What is going on here? And it's kind of funny, too, because some of these sports fans, coincidence theorists that think it's just ludicrous that anything is fixed. A lot of these goofs, they came out of the woodwork even for... they come out of the woodwork all over social media anytime someone insinuates something isn't as advertised on the idiot box. these authority-worshipping cultist bootlickers, they just don't have the mental capacity to even comprehend the possibility that something is fixed or fixed on a grand scale. They might be able to fathom that certain individuals might fix something, but the mental capacity is just not there for any league-wide fixing. Now, we just went over a judge's statement from an actual court case, which I cited, but some of these goofs, they're probably going to ignore all that. The league is not comprised of 32 separate NFL franchises where each team is run as a separate business, but rather as one collective entertainment business. This allows the NFL to market all 32 teams to the major TV networks nationwide. Now that we understand the NFL is not legally classified as sport and instead entertainment, let's return to the ratings. According to Sportico, the NFL served up 171.3 billion TV ad impressions in 2022. What does this mean exactly? The networks, CBS, NBC, Fox, and ESPN, pay the NFL to broadcast their games. These contracts amounts to hundreds of billions of dollars given to the league through TV contracts every season. How do the networks profit? Companies such as Budweiser, T-Mobile, Subway, and others pay them to advertise their products. Success under this business model depends on one thing: ratings. The money made from TV contracts is doled out amongst 32 teams and goes to pay players' salaries, executives, front office, and other team expenses. So what business is the NFL and its advertising partners actually in? It sure as hell isn't football. There are two other professional sports that share the legal title of sports entertainment: the WWE and professional roller derby. Roller derby's kind of awesome. We got to do a podcast on that. So, according to this article, the NFL is legally titled as sports entertainment. Now, advertising-wise, WWE advertises as sports entertainment. The NFL advertises sports and football. So clearly there's an issue there. When you understand how the NFL makes its bread, it's easy to explain the ridiculous one-handed catches from receivers using proven magnet technology, the inexplicably high amount of overtime games and last-second finishes, and the soap opera comebacks from 27 points down in the second half. The NFL is a TV show with weekly episodes. Now, hold on a second here. We need some controls and baselines. Because, I mean, there are high school games out there and even Pee-wee football games out there. Not a lot, but there are some with these big comebacks. Are those games fixed? I wouldn't lean that way, although obviously I don't know. I mean, I did play football. I'll release some private info about Bruce McGuire. I did play football back in the day. It was quite a long time ago when the rules were probably different. I don't know. I haven't followed football in a really long time. So, as far as I know, none of the games I played in were fixed. My teammates and I always did our best. As far as I know, so did the other teams. Now, as far as what the coaches were doing, that I wouldn't really know. But I don't think all those games are faked, especially if we're using the follow the money metric, because there's really not that much money. I mean, there could be some. I mean, high school football is really big in Texas and some of these other places where there is a fair amount of money at play. But average small town teams, there's really not much money, especially below high school level. So I mean, when you're looking at how many soap opera comebacks there are, how many last second finishes there are, I mean, there might be something there. Again, are we saying that the NFL was always fixed? Was the NBA always fixed? Were all professional sports leagues always fixed? Or is this a relatively new phenomenon? Past few decades or so. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody really address the timeline on all of this. We got Rodney in here, April, American Woman with 3 N's, and Jesus Cow. Very interesting group in the chat here. So I don't know. I haven't really seen a timeline of this rigging and fixing being properly addressed. or what the allegations of the entire conspiracy alleges. But continuing this article here, the NFL is a TV show with weekly episodes. Any of my favorite TV shows contain drama, intriguing main characters who are likable, villains whom we love to see fail, shocking left turns, polarizing moments that stir up debate, and edge of your seat finishes. Today's professional football players are more like movie stars than athletes. Okay, another aside here, because Olympic sports are big business as well. And the Olympic Games, I mean, a lot of money circling the games, the Olympic Games. So, what's the deal with Olympic sports and the Olympic Games? Is all that fixed? Is part of it fixed? I mean, what's the deal? I mean, this is a relatively new conspiracy for me to tackle. I mean, obviously, isolated incidents of fixing and rigging, those are all well known. But as far as entire leagues being completely fixed and rigged, pretty much every game as standard by design, that's a relatively new conspiracy for me. I probably started seeing things like this maybe a year or two ago. It's mostly focused on the NFL. I think some people are also looking at the NBA and some other sports. But I don't know. Are all of them fixed? It's kind of weird. It's definitely kind of weird. Now, the birth of legal sports betting in several states has amplified this issue. The NFL has overtly partnered itself with sports books like FanDuel and DraftKings, and it seems hellbent shoving it down everyone's throat, whether they even like sports or not. Everywhere you turn are promotions for these sports books with the NFL logo stamped alongside it. Bet $5 and get $100 in free bets. Anyone who is told it's too good to be true, as a kid would then ask, what's the catch? The catch is that the games are rigged to make the sports book more money than they pay out. Anyone who's spent time in a casino understands the basic rule: the house always wins. Of course, you may find success in the short term on a few wagers here and there, but in general, the house comes out on top. But is that really rigged, though, in terms of... Because that's kind of different. Because in a sporting contest, there's a lot more variables. In a casino, all the games have consistent odds. They don't just start adding numbers to the roulette wheel. I mean, they're all pre-established statistical odds that the house would win over time, except in cases of card counting, blackjack, or some other things. But in general, everything's already established. With sporting contests, I mean, you have different players, injuries. I mean, there's endless things that can happen. And if the lines are just adjusted enough times, it wouldn't even matter because the sportsbook would still make money over time, other than, you know, those long shot games, even if it wasn't rigged, or regardless of whether the sportsbook knew it was rigged or not. In September 2022, the AGA the AGA is a survey revealed that over $50 billion had already been wagered on NFL games, and this was before millions of folks were legally allowed to in Ohio and other states. Here's the bottom line: sports books are not charities, they are businesses. If you think sports books would leave a billion-dollar industry up to chance, you don't know business, period. See, this doesn't make sense though, because you have people betting on both sides. So what sports books are really good at are adjusting the lines. So that way they'll always make money regardless of who wins. So it wouldn't need to be fixed based on the amount of people betting on each side and the amount of money on each side. Games are routinely manipulated to go against the public bets on the spread, money line, and over-under total points. Author Dan Moldia of the 1989 book Interference: How Organized Crime Influences Professional Football documented the decades-long evidence of point shaving in NFL games. Brian Tuohy, author of The Fix Is In, the showbiz manipulations of the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NASCAR, documented the revenue sharing and antitrust exemptions the NFL possesses and the influence of gambling on professional sports. Does that mean only the NFL has this antitrust exemption? The other leagues don't? They're still corrupt, but they don't have specific antitrust exemptions? How can you have an antitrust exemption? This is all very, very strange. I mean, organized crime fixing games. I mean, do they really fix every single game? I mean, yeah, certain championships and high profile games where there's a lot of money circling and gambling, obviously those would be major, major targets for organized crime and always have been. But in terms of status quo for each game of the season, would organize, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the extent of what organized crime is trying to do, but I wouldn't guess specifically that they were heavily involved in every single game. But again, I don't know. I'm actually surprised because you have all these former mobsters coming out about even mob hits and all this crime. I don't recall. I mean, I've listened to quite a few interviews from hitmen and capos, and I don't recall them specifically talking about any kind of long term, every single game of the season type fixing. Only isolated, high profile games. So I don't know. That is kind of weird. You would think more of them might be talking about it, unless they are, and I just haven't seen it. But an example in Super Bowl 56 between the Rams and the Bengals, a whopping 83% of the money wagered on the money line bet was placed on the Bengals. The 17% who bet on LA received half of what they wagered in profit, with minus 200 odds. On the spread bet, 74% of the money wagered on LA, minus 4 went to the Rams to cover, meaning to win by more than 4 points. Of course, the Bengals only lost by 3 points, meaning Vegas cashed out big time. On picking the exact score for the game, 23-20, the odds were an insane plus 650 compared to a plus 7,500 odds for a reasonable score prediction of Rams 24-17. Eyebrow raising, to say the least. That is eyebrow raising. That is eyebrow raising. But again, this is a Super Bowl, so I mean, I don't know. Would they really be fixing each and every game? I don't know. If you think the players would come out and blow the whistle on such a grand conspiracy theory, which is actually documented with proven facts in history, look again. Several players have, in fact, spoken out. Benny Cunningham, former Bears running back, tweeted, "The NFL is scripted, but they make us sign something so we can't go into detail. Tired of holding back, who wants the real story?" Junior Gillette, a former Pro Bowl linebacker for the Saints, tweeted in response to the ESPN's hype for the 2021 Super Bowl, "Hollywood couldn't write a better script. The new face of the NFL versus the old one. I can't believe I used to put my body and mental health on the line for a game that's scripted." Chris Borland, former linebacker who retired after just one season, okay, I'd like to hear about that, stated, quote, "The NFL is like a spectacle of violence for entertainment, and you're actors in it. You're complicit in that. You put on the uniform, and it's a trivial thing at its core. It's make-believe, really. That's the truth about it," end quote. Earl Campbell, retired Houston Oilers running back and Hall of Famer, said, quote, "And we all know, now that we're grown men, that wrestling's fake. Well, football is not played like it was when I played." Okay, what does that mean? So is he saying it wasn't fixed when he played, but now it is? I mean, I don't know. And the crown jewel of them all, Super Bowl MVP Dwight Smith of the Buccaneers, calling into a local sports show ahead of the Brady Mahomes Super Bowl. The game ain't decided on the field. It will be whatever Vegas wants, whatever makes them the most money. In the 2003 Super Bowl, we knew every play they were running before the game started. Oakland didn't run that offense all year. Well, as a counterpoint, I'm not saying this is true in any way, but was it a strategy? I didn't watch that game, by the way. Like I said, I don't really watch football, haven't in a very long time. But there are strategies where you are saving it for the big game. If you ever get to the big game, you have something up your sleeve and you run plays that nobody would have seen you run the rest of the season. Now, if they would never even, what it would come down to, I mean, I don't know if this exists. Was there if somebody did film or security footage or whatever of all their practices and they never practiced the offense that they played at the Super Bowl, that would be kind of weird. But if they practiced it specifically, planning to unveil it, then again, I'm not saying that the fix isn't in, but that doesn't automatically mean that the fix is in. With the rise of legal betting everywhere backed by their own stamp of approval, expect the National Fixed League to hum along just fine, consuming your emotions and money with it. So this was from clevelandsportstalk.com, CLEsportstalk.com. Interesting article from this past January 25th. What does everybody make of that? Okay, let's get into this one specific play and then we'll get into numerology because some of this is really weird. I mean, it is truly, truly mind shocking because not only we're talking about things being fixed, but we're now going to move into the realm of Illuminati symbolism conspiracy. Because even if they're fixing it, would they make it this obvious? So let's look at this particular play, which might have had an impact on the final score. Anybody else find that weird? It's like there wasn't even a real attempt made there. I mean, this is kind of weird. So, clearly, I mean, I mentioned this on Twitter too. A lot of goofs got triggered. A lot of coincidences got triggered. If somebody botched this play in high school, I mean, the coach would have just completely destroyed them. I mean, I've actually called for people. If anybody knows of a high school play, I've never even seen a high school, like I've seen high school games and plays that got botched seriously, but not like this. Failing to make this kind of a tackle. So here's the thing about proportions. A lot of clueless coincidence theorists, goofs, discussing all this on social media can't grasp this, but in high school, everybody's slower and weaker with less experience and less mental acuity. So both of these guys are obviously better than. I'm not saying a high school player would make this tackle on a Super Bowl participating NFL QB. I'm saying, or any player on it, whatever position. A high schooler would make this play on another high schooler, just like an NFL player should make this play against another NFL player. If anybody wants to see the mental breakdowns of coincidence theorists in Matthew's thread here, he actually posted, "Can one of you NFL fanboys who's been stalking my posts the past 24 hours explain to me why number 54 doesn't try to tackle Mahomes on this play? I want to see how you cognitive dissonance riddled clowns try to defend this as real football." And yeah, these clowns came out of the woodwork, hallucinating. Like I brought up the high school example, and they were kind of hallucinating or projecting or whatever that I was saying that I could make this play or some kind of nonsense. I'm saying me in high school against another high schooler would make this play. I mean, just the level of gophery that these triggered goofs are exhibiting. because somebody's blaspheming their fairy tale on the idiot box. It's interesting psychologically. A high schooler can make this play against another high schooler. An NFL player should make this play against another NFL player. So it is kind of weird. So the cope from some people was, oh, it's the angle. This angle makes it look worse than it is. Well, let's look at this angle one more time and look at another angle. But I mean, look at it. This is a straight shot. I mean, how could anybody not make this tackle? I mean, he just runs a J to the side as if intentionally not trying to make it. Now, I'm not saying that's the case. Maybe he just had a, you know, mental fog or something. I mean, I don't know. It just looks strange. I mean, that's all I'm saying. It looks strange. It looks weird. I mean, it's like he pulled a J for no reason. I mean, he had a straight line to the tackle. It's kind of weird. Anybody in here also play football? I mean, I haven't played in a really long time, but this is definitely one of the weirdest play. I mean, this is one of the weirdest botched plays I've ever seen. Now let's look at it from another angle. And even there, he could still, even after he pulled that inexplicable J, he could still dive for the tackle here. Come on, kill the bank. Are you saying so a high schooler would make this play against another high schooler? An NFL player should be able to make this tackle against another NFL player. And even if he missed the first one, I mean, it just looks like he's not even trying. It's so weird. It's so weird. Let's look at it from another angle. This angle, which supposedly people were trying to say explains it better, it actually makes it worse because watch what happens here. By the way, this is the most football I've watched in decades. I mean, look at that straight shot. And then he's going to pull a J for no reason. That's weird. And then not even go for the tackle after the fact. I mean, there's countless plays where guys are diving for the tackle that they're not even close to making. Like, maybe this guy was exhausted and he wouldn't have made the tackle, but at least try. I mean, there's countless examples of guys diving for a tackle and not making it, sometimes not even close, but they're simply doing their best. This is clearly not an example of that. I mean, this is just weird. I mean, look at this. Right here. I mean, look at this. Look how early it's there. Now, I know he realizes maybe he's going to do something else, but even here, like it's kind of obvious he's running it now. I mean, look at that straight shot. I mean, look at that. I've never seen a botched play like this. Now, admittedly, I haven't really been looking. A lot of people have sent me a lot more footage, and I'll be doing another episode on this, particularly with numerology, because it does get pretty crazy. But I mean, look at this. In this kind of situation, we're talking about an NFL player. I mean, even a high school player. Like, let's go to high school. I would say most high schoolers would not randomly pull a J right here. Like, he just seriously pulls a J. Why is he going in a J instead of trying to go for the straight line at the beginning? And let's say he had whatever, a mental moment. At this point, to make the play, you dive right there. And he's not that far. I mean, maybe he wouldn't have made the tackle. It's not guaranteed. It's definitely not guaranteed, especially if he was completely exhausted. But he might have made it, or at least got the guy's leg to slow him down. I mean, he could have possibly had an impact for a teammate to make the tackle. It's kind of weird. It's just so weird. Again, this is coming from somebody who did play football. I don't think I've actually revealed this before. Bruce McGuire did used to play football. I know everybody's going to be searching now. But, I mean, this would be, I just can't recall a play like being botched this way. I mean, coaches would yell at you for just not making the effort even when you were too far to make the tackle. just dive for it anyway. But yeah, this is really weird. So look, I mean, just look at both of these angles. I superimposed both of them. I mean, he's got a pretty straight line here. Now, let's say for whatever reason, if he thinks there's going to be some kind of weird fake out to the right, maybe that's why he pulled that J, but even then, he still had an opportunity to dive. And he didn't. So, yeah, what does everybody think about that? Because I'm about to get into the numbers here, which is definitely going to fry some brains. Shock some brains, fry some brains. I mean, there's a lot of weird plays where it's like, okay, the guy's not trying that hard. I've never seen one exactly like this one, though. It just seems way too obvious. Again, maybe the guy, I don't know. Maybe it's just the case of 54 having money. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Doing some illegal betting and botched it on purpose. Or he just, he went on a mental vacation. He turned into a space cadet for a second. I mean, anything's possible. But again, why not make the tackle or at least try for the tackle after that? But now combine both of those events happening on this single play, it just seems weird. I mean, because there are plenty of plays where guys they don't dive for the tackle. But I mean, here, just the setup of it is completely different. Where if you botch it that badly, you better go for the tackle. I mean, I wonder if the coach said anything at all to him. So, Misinformed Content posted this. Mahomes ends with 333 yards. Number 33 missed coverage. And number 12, 1 plus 2 equals 3, made the game winning touchdown and they won by 3. Number 12 was an add on from the Jets who had 0 touchdowns all year. He was only thrown to 17 times and he wins the game on blown coverage. Interesting. Now, if that's not mind shocking enough, let's look at the follow up here. Few more posts. Misinformed Consent also said, wait, there's more. Third Super Bowl win. Third MVP, 3 touchdowns thrown, and the final touchdown scored with 3 seconds left. And guess what the address of the stadium is? 3333 Al Davis Way. Have a nice day, y'all. Wow, that's a lot of threes. Okay, hold on a second. Awesome Town Matt said they played 60 minutes and could hardly drive down the field for a touchdown. And then in overtime, 49ers defense suddenly sucks. Cramlicker states number 54 is Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers in the league. He doesn't take bad angles. It's very strange. Okay, so this makes it even worse because, like I said, I don't watch football. I didn't even know that this was one of the best guys. I was discussing all this as if this was, a mid-level guy. I mean, obviously, if he's that bad, he probably wouldn't be playing in the Super Bowl. But in general, Kramlicker is saying Fred Warner is one of the best in the entire league. So, and he doesn't take bad. I mean, this was bad. Like, I don't see high schoolers doing this against other high schoolers, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's very weird. I mean, that was one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen, especially like, let's say he had that brain fog or whatever, or he thought there was going to be a break to the right or whatever, and that he tried to preempt. I mean, I don't know. Has that quarterback done that before? I mean, I don't know if that was the norm. Maybe that wasn't a bad idea. Maybe pulling that random J wasn't a bad idea. But from the angle, it seemed like it just didn't make any sense. But even then, after that, why not dive for the tackle? Because he wasn't that far. Awesome Town Matt. Yes, Mahomes throws for 333 yards. The address of the stadium is 3333. I think it's four threes, not three threes. Mr. Mister. Wow, what a fantastic name. What a fantastic name. I mean, it's going to be tough to find a better band than Mr. Mister. I mean, come on. What a fantastic name. But anyway, Mr. Mister says yes, address Super Bowl was 3333. Mahomes needs 3 to pass for 333, winning by 3, and throws to a guy whose number is 12. 1 and 2 is 3. Wins by 3. Mahomes' number is 15. It's such a joke. Well, I mean, that's kind of weird. I mean, statistically, what are the chances that this happens? It's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I mean, the coincidence theorists probably love this. Now, even more anomalies. Flat Mac posted that Mahomes, with 333 passing yards as Kansas City's lone passer, his team only passed for 325, according to ESPN. So, what does that mean? I mean, is this just an error, or do the yards not even line up, but the Illuminati symbolism just needs to work, so they pretend it all adds up? And who is anybody actually double checking this? I actually don't know. Who keeps these stats? Is it the NFL or is it a third party organization? Because if it's the NFL keeping their own stats, I mean, that's the guards guarding themselves. They'll say the yards were whatever they want to say the yards are. So that's kind of weird. I mean, there's so many more examples of this numerology insanity. I'm probably going to have to do another podcast just going over some of these other ones and, of course, the magnetized balls and everything. But we could do one more because this one is just so mind-shockingly mind-boggling. I mean, this might be the greatest coincidence of all time. And I believe this is. Oh, you want to watch the game winning drive? That was funny business, too. We could take a look at that first, and then we'll get into what might be the greatest coincidence of all time. Might get hit with some copyright issues, but we'll see.
Go down and kick a field goal. The game continues. If they're stopped, the game is over. They can win it with a touchdown.
The next guy, the opportunity, Patrick Mahomes.
2nd and 8. Open. It's Rice holding on to it with 2 hands smartly.
They're on him. That's going to be 4th down.
Yeah, it's going to be 4th down, and it comes down to this play. Here is that previous play with Pacheco.
And they tried to get on the ball. As soon as you try and get on the ball quickly, you know on these short yardage situations.
With the game on the line.
Jump off sides first.
Mahomes has it. He's easily going to get the first.
They are.
What the heck? How many of these funny plays are there?
Jump off sides first.
Mahomes has it. He's
What? That looked a little strange to me, too. I mean, there's like 4 guys, not a single one even attempted a tackle. I'm pausing it, Awesome Town Matt.
Here is that previous play with Pacheco.
And they tried to get on the ball. As soon as you try and get on the ball quickly, you know on these short yardage situations.
With the game on the line.
Jump off sides first.
Okay, this, I mean, that would have been called a juke back in the day. He got juked. Okay, now, okay, 97's not diving, but he's kind of far, so maybe you'd expect him to, maybe you wouldn't. 91's got a pretty good line for a dive right there, no attempt. 33's set up right there, no attempt. I mean, look at that. 3 guys, they could have all dove earlier, and they didn't. That 4th guy's getting blocked, so, I mean, he may or may not have had time to make that dive. What, does anybody else, does this look strange to anybody else? Again, like I said, I haven't watched football in many, many years. I've never quite seen a play like this either. There's 4 guys, not a single one even attempted a tackle. Does anybody even, like, look at this frame. Does anybody who has ever played football have a problem with this frame right here? I mean, this is just weird. It's like they're not even trying. I mean, it kind of looks like whoever that was, a 54, was gonna do something, but the timing might have been off. But there were 3 other guys who didn't even make an attempt. I mean, these guys get paid how much?
Another low snap. Pass complete.
What the heck?
That's Valdez.
What? Why did 7 hang back that long? That was a weird play. Okay, I don't think I even want to start watching this because how many funny plays are there? Because when I was first told about this conspiracy, because okay, decades ago when I watched football, I don't remember even a single funny play like this in a whole game. You'd have maybe a funny play per week, maybe. I mean, we just watched a few funny plays in a row.
Going the wrong way. Five guys back here. It's a little safe. They can get something little right away, right in front.
They take it.
I don't know, man.
Advantage of that, Tony.
I mean, they finally took him down, but I would have thought he would have dove earlier. I mean, especially because he's got two other guys covering. There's no danger in missing that dive.
When they've been up in here, I expect them to drop out this time.
No dive there either. They might have been able to get him before he got the ball off. That's also kind of weird. They let him off the hook there. Back when I watched football, there would have been guys diving all over the place on this. I mean, this is weird. It's like, I mean, is this kind of like the NBA? I haven't watched the NBA in a really long time. Also, like, it's just, the rules are just, did they change the rules? Did they just call unnecessary roughness every 2 seconds? Is that why nobody's diving? Because decades ago, all these guys would have been diving for tackles. I mean, even right there. What the heck? What? Okay, is it just me, or is this entire game just complete nonsense? What? He's got him, right there. He's got him. He's got him. He does nothing. He waves his hand. He's got the tackle right there. Why is he waving his hand instead of tackling him? And he had him right there for a tackle too. Didn't even bother. Just pushed him out of bounds. Is there are the rules completely different than when I used to watch football? Now, I can't get over this one. This one is wild. So, what is that? 91. He has him right here. He's completely got him. And all he does is wave a hand? That's one of the worst plays I've ever seen. Okay, that's the first dive I've seen, I think. Decades ago, that would have been every play. Whether successful or not, they would have at least been trying.
From the 37 of the 49ers. Set up a screen for Pacheco. Pacheco has
Okay, finally, that play looked somewhat legit. It's about time.
Warner jumped right on him. They're gonna mark him about
Still looked like he could have got him a little earlier, but... It looked like why would he wait? He waited a little bit.
Football. Not a big deal now unless you don't get it. Go up top. Mahomes.
What? Oh, that's the one we saw before, yeah.
down to the 13-yard line.
Watch Mahomes.
That was insane. Insane. This makes it even worse in the context of watching all the other plays. I didn't know that there were this many funny plays. I thought this was the only one. I mean, almost all of these plays here are funny. There was one play that didn't look somewhat funny. Okay, maybe that one too.
Down to the 10.
That looked fine.
Yards from the win. Mahomes. Throws it to Kelsey in the middle of the field. Kelsey plowing ahead. Kelsey.
What the heck? I mean, look at all these guys on the side. Like, they're... Why are they not helping? They're just, like, hanging back doing nothing. It's weird. Freddie Ochosis says you should check out Super Bowl 40. How bad was that one? Was it every play? Was every play a funny play?
Out there being like, what's going on?
First and goal.
What? There's no way 97 got faked out like that easily. Like, there's zero hustle from these guys. What is going on? There's zero hustle.
It's there! Hardman! Jackpot! Kansas City!
And
Yeah, this whole thing is so funny.
This was the Andy
There's no way this game's legit. I gotta say, I was skeptical. I thought it was just a couple of one-off plays. It's almost every play. What is going on here?
And at that moment, he turns and goes back. Hardman, who they didn't have, right? And they go get Hardman.
Wow, you're right. Yeah, whoever said, like, there's zero hustle going on here. Like, where's the hustle?
Hardman, who started the season as a Jet.
Yeah, that's pretty bogus. That's pretty bogus. I would think back when I played and watched, we gave more than that even for a regular season game. We gave more than that for a scrimmage. I mean, are you kidding me? We would have got, oh man, we got chewed out when we were winning the game and we didn't give all we had. I mean, I don't know if this is all the result of participation trophies, but back in the day, it didn't matter if you were winning. You always give all you have. Yeah, that was some of the funniest business I've ever seen. Now let's get to the numerology. So, was this Flat Earth? Was this Jake Gibson? I mean, like I said, I don't watch football. I didn't watch the whole game, so I don't know if they just switched it for the easy mode rig for the end of the game, and the first half of the game was legit for the people who watched. I mean, I don't know. Was the first half legit? But those were some of the most funny-looking plays I have ever seen, and the fact that they all happened back to back. I mean, that's yeah. There's no way this is legit. It just doesn't pass the sniff test. And yeah, because I was thinking, well, maybe the one guy was exhausted. But I mean, literally, all the guys are on. Lord Zed said the first half was fake, too. Well, that makes it even worse. Because, I mean, all those guys hanging back, I mean, they should have all been diving. I mean, yeah, maybe you don't make the play, but at least you try. Like, these guys aren't even trying. It's so weird. It's definitely weird. So let's go to, I think his name is Jake Gibson. He's this either flat earther or former flat earther who's been making videos on the NFL fakery going on. I gotta say, I was on the fence for this until I saw that many funny plays. And what's funny, this was the video we just played. This is like on the official UK ESPN that I just played it. It's not like a highlight of fake plays or anything. It's all like the official highlights. It's so weird. Wait, what? Awesome Town Matt said the 49ers kicker broke the field goal distance at 55 yards. Then the next drive, I think Chiefs kicker broke the record. What? With 57-yarder. Has that ever happened in any other game ever? I can't. That is kind of bonkers. That's weird. Man, what is going on? Like, what is going on for the Super Bowl? Yeah. Extra ratings, extra excitement, extra scripted and excitement. All right, so let's see what's going on here with Jake's video.
On November 18th, 1985, Joe Theismann was tackled by...
Oh, actually, I don't know whose video this is. Huh. I would like to give credit, but I don't... Let's see if I can find... The title is Rigged NFL, the Alex Smith-Joe Theismann Connection. Oh, it looks like it is Jake's video. Okay, so let's continue.
Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson, which resulted in a broken right leg.
But he knows he's in trouble. Lawrence Taylor, number 56, right there. Carson is number 53. But it's Taylor over Carson, slamming, and you see the right knee, the right...
33 years later on November 18th, 2018,
Oh, we got the 33 again? Seriously?
Alex Smith was tackled by J.J. Watt and Kareem Jackson, which resulted in a broken right leg.
Unfortunately, I've got what looks like very bad news for the Washington Redskins. Alex Smith suffers it's a gruesome leg injury. You're going to see a replay. Look away. It is a graphic injury. It looks like Alex Smith has broken his leg. In the city where Joe Theismann's terrible injury, oh boy.
Other than the strange coincidence of these two rare injuries happening on the same day 33 years apart, there have been quite a few other coincidences found. Joe Theismann was at the game when Alex Smith broke his leg.
What? Wow. This might actually be the craziest coincidence stack of all time, so I hope you guys are all sitting down for this.
Both quarterbacks were playing for the Redskins when their legs were broken. Both quarterbacks broke their right tibia and fibula. Both breaks happened in Washington. Both games ended in the same score, 23-21. Both injuries happened near the 40-yard line. Lawrence Taylor and J.J. Watt are the only two people to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. Taylor tackled Theismann and Watt tackled Smith. On the day of Joe Theismann's injury, his Pro Bowl left tackle Joe Jacoby was not on the field due to injury. On the day of Alex Smith's injury, his Pro Bowl left tackle Trent Williams was not on the field due to injury.
This is wild. I mean, even just 2 or 3 of these would supposedly be the odds happening against it would be so astronomical. I mean, it's kind of weird.
This is less of a rare coincidence, but I still find it interesting that both teams were playing against red, white, and blue jerseys.
I wouldn't say that's less of a coincidence. That's still coincidental. Also, like when I played football, I don't remember left tackle being a particularly injured position. In fact, I don't ever recall any left tackle being injured. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but...
It's when the injuries happened.
Anybody find it weird that it didn't happen on the 33-yard line? I mean, even just being the same date. I mean, this is just so wild. Not just the same date, but the craziest one is probably that it was 33 years apart. That's probably the craziest part of that. 33 years apart on the same exact day. If it was the 33rd yard line instead of the 39th, that would also be insane. But the fact that it was still on the same line, I mean, that's crazy. What does everybody think of this? I mean, that is one wild coincidence stack. I mean, that is pretty crazy. That's crazier than this Super Bowl. 300, well, I don't know. I mean, it's rough. 333 yards at 3,333 address. The score, a difference of 3 with 3 seconds left in the game. CF summarized that for us here. 25 plus 22 is 47. They can't just help themselves with their stupid threes. The fall enslaves us all says, never tell someone to break a leg out there. Especially not 33 years after in the same city as someone else broke a leg. I mean, this was one wild coincidence. I mean, that was crazy. Let's watch it again. I mean, it's so wild. Let's watch this again.
On November 18th, 1985, Joe Theismann was tackled by Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson, which resulted in a broken right leg.
But he knows he's in trouble. Lawrence Taylor, number 56, right there. Carson is number 53. But it's Taylor over Carson. Slamming. And you see the right knee, the right...
33 years later, on November 18th, 2018, Alex Smith was tackled by J.J. Watt and Kareem Jackson, which resulted in a broken right leg.
Unfortunately, I've got what looks like very bad news for the Washington Redskins. Alex Smith suffers a it's a gruesome leg injury. You're going to see a replay. Look away. It is a graphic injury. It looks like Alex Smith has broken his leg in the city where Joe Theismann's terrible injury, oh boy.
Other than the strange coincidence of these two rare injuries happening on the same day 33 years apart, there have been quite a few other coincidences found. Joe Theismann was at the game when Alex Smith broke his leg. Both quarterbacks were playing for the Redskins when their legs were broken. Both quarterbacks broke their right tibia and fibula. Both breaks happened in Washington. Both games ended in the same score, 23-21. Both injuries happened near the 40-yard line. Lawrence Taylor and J.J. Watt are the only two people to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. Taylor tackled Theismann and Watt tackled Smith. On the day of Joe Theismann's injury, his Pro Bowl left tackle Joe Jacoby was not on the field due to injury. On the day of Alex Smith's injury, his Pro Bowl left tackle, Trent Williams, was not on the field due to injury. This is less of a rare coincidence, but I still find it interesting that both teams were playing against red, white, and blue jerseys when the injuries happened.
I mean, even just the 33 years to the day, to the yard line. I mean, it's just weird, man, in the same city. It's just weird. The statistical anomaly here. I mean, is this like someone winning the lottery 10 times in a row? I mean, or even greater than that? I mean, just the statistical impossibility here. Am I the only one that finds this strange? It looks like nobody else in the chat is finding this strange. Awesome Town Matt, 350-plus yard field goals in the Super Bowl. Previous Super Bowls, only 7 50-yarders combined. You mean in the previous all Super Bowls in history? There were 7. And then there were just 3 in a single game just now. The 3 again. I mean, just even if it was just 2 or 3 of those coincidences that I just went over here, would it be too many? But the stack just keeps stacking. I mean, it's just absolutely mind-shocking. CF said, all teams share revenue, so they don't care who wins or loses. Yeah, CF, but I mean, a lot of these athletes are egotistical. I mean, even if they know it's fake. I mean, even pro wrestlers, they love their championship belts because a lot of it is about ego, so it doesn't even matter that it was fake or predetermined. And again, so when you see that the teams don't care who wins or loses, what about the players, though? Because don't the players that win the most, rigged or not, they get paid more, right? So, I don't know. Yeah, so that's another 3 with the field goals. So there were only 7 50-yard plus field goals combined in the history of the Super Bowl. And then there were 3 in a single Super Bowl game just recently. That's pretty wild. Yeah, this is all bonkers. I mean, we just entered a bonkers reality. So this all happened... So this happened 2018. So, okay. I don't know. Was 2012 really some kind of just time shift, dimension shift, and then now we've just been living in this bonkers reality? Because it seemed like they really upped the ante in just the ludicrous nature of a lot of these so-called coincidences. Because in the past, there was some kind of plausible deniability built in. Some kind. It seems like that's been all completely abandoned for years now. For years. Like, they're not even trying to build in any kind of plausible deniability. So, yeah, maybe we'll do a follow-up episode where we'll go over more plays. But that was crazy. I will say it wasn't much ado about nothing. So that was way too many funny plays. I mean, I don't know how anybody just logically can look at that, whether they played football or not, and think that that's all on the up and up. It is pretty weird. It's pretty weird. The other thing that kind of gets me thinking, like back, in Jordan's time playing in the NBA, where they had the Jordan rules and everybody was roughing him up. Did the NBA switch to soft rules where they call foul on everything? Does that make it easier to rig everything? Because less chance of injury, etc. Is that what's going on with the NBA? Because I did used to watch a fair amount of basketball way back in the day. Not really since Jordan's second retirement, but... Rodney says, the NFL has security personnel who are former federal law enforcement in each city. They keep an eye on all players, including their behavior off the field. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Rodney, what do you think of all these NFL players and other athletes who are involved in domestic violence situations or even murders and crime? Is that because of the CTE, or do you think it's because of just the pressure and the stress of being involved in the conspiracy? Because if they were coming up through high school, is college fixed? Because that's another thing. Because if college isn't fixed, I've never seen any kind of these kind of funny plays in college. Not even close to things like we just watched here in this episode. If college is legit and they thought the NFL is legit, then when they get to the NFL and they find out it's not legit, would that shatter their psyche? Is that why there are so many domestic violence situations and all these crime situations with players? Because even though they're being watched by these former federal law enforcement, I mean, that's kind of weird. Awesome Town Matt says, have you seen the magnetic gloves and balls? Yeah, I've seen some videos on that. The commercial for them is on YouTube and specifically says they are banned in high school and college, never mentions the NFL. That's funny that they're that open. I haven't seen that where they were open about it. But I've seen like the impossible plays where there's no way it's not some kind of magnetic or some kind of interference in the NFL and the NBA. Rodney says both, and in college, it's gamblers getting to the players. Rodney, I've never seen. I mean, again, I haven't watched college football in a very long time either. So you're saying that all the college games are as funny as what we just watched? Because that's insane. Mario said they do not own their identity like actors. Their name is a trademark. They have handlers. Yeah, but if they went into that not knowing it would be that, I mean, that's a completely different psychology than if they knew that the whole time and perfectly knew what they were getting into. I mean, kind of like Hollywood too, maybe. Like a lot of people go to Hollywood, they don't know about the whole satanic cabal. So they go there thinking it's all going to be legit. And then that could cause a lot of psyche fractures as well. I mean, that sounds like it needs to be a podcast on its own. But that's it for now. I'll do a follow-up episode. We'll get into all the magnetic stuff. Have quite a few logical analyses coming up. They're pretty crazy. I've been setting those up. I think everybody's going to really enjoy those. Awesome Town Matt said, there's a reason they give all incoming NFL players psychological tests. Is this all the same for the NBA as well? NBA, NHL, all these other sports? What about sports like wrestling or boxing? I mean, obviously, gamblers get like mobsters, they might get to certain boxers, but in terms of, let's call it institutionalized fixing, because it seems like the NFL, I mean, just judging from what we've just seen, it seems very plausible that there's some kind of institutional fixing and rigging in the NFL. But I haven't really seen enough about the other sports to know that it's every sport. Because, I mean, how would you fix high diving or something? Or, I don't know, or some of these sports that nobody cares or watches about or even gambles on, like ski jumping or some of the, or curling. I don't know. I mean, curling seems like that would be, they might be able to fix that with magnets as well. But what about all these sports that nobody cares about? Would they even bother fixing those? How legit is cricket? I know cricket, that's huge in India and some of these other countries. They probably gamble on that, so it probably wouldn't be legit. But yeah, I don't know. Is ski jumping legit? Or sports, or I don't know, even like marathon running. I mean, it seems like it's really just up to the runner. There's nothing to really fix unless you tell the runner to take a dive. Refs have a big part of the fix also. Well, yeah, they would have to. That's the only way to really guarantee that. Rodney, yeah, I mentioned him in the article, but I think he only talked about the NBA, NHL, and NASCAR in addition to the NFL. Not like combat sports or the unknown sport. In the article, I mean, maybe he did in his book. I haven't read his book. Yeah, well, I know there's been so many funny plays with refs, but there are a lot of dumb refs. I mean, you can go to a Little League game in the middle of nowhere and you'll find refs making bad calls. Because, I mean, there's just dumb people everywhere. There's no exemption for refs. So I wouldn't I didn't automatically jump to it, but when you have this many players not even trying, like in the Super Bowl, I mean, that's a huge issue. Refs in on it or not, that's a huge issue when where half the guys aren't even trying. All right, yeah, I'll check it out, Rodney. I'll check out. I'm curious about the other sports as well. All right, well, thanks for joining us for another edition of the MindShock podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, find it interesting and informative, and help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Like and share, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comments section. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.